Hello folks, how are you? How are you? My name is Sheikh Jang. I'm a journalist based in Paris. Everybody knows Paris, the capital city of France. I'm a student of international media. And at the same time, I'm a political commentator, a humble political commentator. I've just published my book in Spanish because I'm professor of Spanish and English and French here in Paris. Okay, I teach Spanish, English, and French, and I'm very interested in politics. I'm really interested in politics. Politics is my life, and I'm very interested in the United States. I'm very interested in France. I'm very interested in Spain. I'm very interested in South America, and I'm very interested in Africa. It's normal, it goes without saying. Because folks, I'm African, I come from Senegal. Senegal is a French-speaking country, a former French colony that obtained its independence from France in 1960. I am writing a book on my country because we have a lot of problems, corruption problems, and we have a president who is absolutely doing a bad job. A lot of kids, a lot of young boys are leaving the country to go to Europe in very difficult and inhumane conditions, and I would like to denounce all that. But here in this channel, I just would like to talk about the United States because I have a channel in French and in Spanish with more than 9,000 followers, and I have a channel in Wolof, which is the native language, my native language, which is the most spoken language in Senegal, where I used to deal with Senegal's issues, and I got something like 1,000 followers. Well, I'm here today to talk about Bernie Sanders and the DNC, and also talk about Roger Stone, who has been condemned to 40 months in prison, or 3 years in prison. Giving my humble opinion. I do believe that Bernie Sanders is doing a good job. He's absolutely the best candidate in the Democratic Party. Because Sanders is very close to the American people on healthcare, on racism, on the conflict between Israel and Palestine, and on other issues. I think Bernie Sanders is today the best candidate of the Democratic Party. But the problem is that Bernie is considered as a socialist or a communist, and that is a way for the establishment to bring Bernie down, to prevent Bernie from moving on. They tell him that he is a communist, he is a socialist, he doesn't believe in free market, he doesn't believe in capitalism, and the United States soul is capitalism. Everybody knows that. So I believe that the situation we are seeing in the Democratic Party is that there will be a coup. Okay, there is a military coup, there is an institutional coup. This time there will be a party coup. A candidate will be endorsed, will be strengthened by the party to bring Bernie Sanders down. And that candidate, according to me, is Mike Bloomberg. Mike is a very rich guy who's been spending millions of dollars to buy ads. $400 million. This guy has spent $400 million in ads. I've been reading an article, I read an article this morning by the Boston Herald, who says that Mike Bloomberg has spent $41.7 million in Facebook advertisement. That's absolutely a big money. This guy is buying the election. Okay? And Bernie Sanders cannot compete with this guy in terms of money. But of course, he can compete with this guy in terms of arguments, because it turns out that Mike is not that good. And the last debate he held, that was held in Nevada, I have been watching the political commentators in the United States commenting that debate, and many have come to the conclusion that Mike was absolutely very bad. Mike was horrific. So the problem is that the DNC does not want Bernie to be the candidate of the Democratic Party. Bernie cannot be the candidate of the Democratic Party. And the reality is that Bernie is the candidate of the American left. Bernie is better than Joe Biden. Joe Biden is involved in the Ukraine issue. His son, Hunter Biden, was working for a Ukrainian oil industry, Burisma. Joe Biden himself recognized that he pressured the Ukrainian president to fire the prosecutor. That, according to me, is a crime. There's nothing. He has never been intimidated by justice. Absolutely nothing. And I think he was, at the beginning, the candidate of the establishment of the Democratic Party. But now it turns out that Joe Biden has run out of gas. Joe cannot move on anymore. He has very few endorsements, and he's not convincing the Democratic voters. What about Elizabeth Warren? I've not got a chance to study Elizabeth Warren. I personally don't know her, but I don't believe that she's better than Bernie Sanders. I don't believe it. And what about Peter Buttigieg? Buttigieg is a young, eloquent, interesting boy, or interesting man. But the reality is that Buttigieg is also the candidate of the system, of the establishment. And that's the reason why they are comparing him with Emmanuel Macron. And I believe that if you are a politician today and that you are compared with Macron, for me, you are doing a bad job, because Macron is not convincing anybody at all. His rating approvals are absolutely a disaster. And French people have turned their back on him. Okay? And the only guy who can beat Biden, who can beat Sanders, is Bloomberg. Not because Bloomberg has the best arguments, but Bloomberg has more money. He's a billionaire. This guy has $60 billion. And this guy has been spending millions of dollars since January to win this election and to win first the caucus and to be the candidate of the Democratic Party in the election against Donald J. Trump. So that's the reality today. Bernie is, according to me, the best candidate. Bernie must be the candidate of the Democratic Party. But the reality is that Bernie will not be that candidate, because they will do exactly the same thing as they did in Iowa, rigging the elections, rigging the results, and giving the victory to somebody else. That's the reality. But that has absolutely nothing to do with democracy. But that's the way it goes in the United States today. About the Roger Stone case, man, it's absolutely complicated. Not complicated for Roger Stone, because Roger was convicted to 9 years in jail. Now he spent 3 years in jail, right? But the Roger Stone case is absolutely complicated for Donald J. Trump and his Attorney General William Barr. Because Trump tweeted talking about a miscarriage of justice, and that same day, William Barr decided to reduce the sentencing from 7 to 4 years in jail. And the media lashed out at Trump and his Attorney General, saying that this is a political sentencing. And that's the problem today. I think Trump has to do something. Stop tweeting on pending issues until the justice gives the decision, the final decision. Because when you do that, you put your Attorney General in a very complicated situation. The second thing I can say about the Roger Stone case is that I believe that this great democracy that I love so much, which is America, I'm a great lover of that country. I love America. I do believe, that's my personal point of view, maybe I'm wrong, and please correct me if I'm wrong. I do believe that there is 2 justices in the United States. One justice for Trump and his friends, and another justice for Trump's opponents. Because the last time the DOJ, the Department of Justice, dropped the charges against McCabe, and McCabe admitted to lying. And this time we have somebody who has been accused of lying, Roger Stone, and the charges were not dropped. So Roger Stone will spend at least 3 years in jail. McCabe will not go to jail. Okay, will not go to jail at all. And the two have been convicted for lying. So I think this is absolutely ridiculous. Okay, I think there is one justice for Mr. Trump and his friends, and another justice is and another justice for the others. And I believe that's my point of view. I'm not supporting anybody. I just want you guys to know that I'm not endorsing anybody. I'm a political commentator. I give my opinion. It turns out that I have interesting ideas and I have interesting arguments. A lot of people are watching me. More than 9,000 people are watching me here in France. 1,000 people, more than that, are watching me from Africa, from Senegal and other African countries. I'm not endorsing anybody in the United States presidential election. But I do believe that when it comes to Trump's friends, the justice is absolutely very harsh, very tough. But when it comes to others, the justice is a little bit kind, okay? It shows some sympathy. And this, according to me, is a problem. So this is my first video about the United States presidential election. I'm watching it very closely because I'm very interested in everything that is happening in that beautiful country. And I hope that I will be able to come back here and share my humble opinion with you, my friend, right? Please share my video and subscribe to this channel. I hope to come back here soon. Thank you very much and have a good night. Goodbye from Paris.